review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is an award winning author and a grief advocate. And of course, the author of the book, The Art of Grieving, no other than Miss Sheila K. Collins. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Sheila, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Okay, Daniel, it's great to be here. And yes, this is my fourth book, I think. Although I didn't start out as an author, I started out as a dancer and
Yes.
then a social worker and then a dancing social worker. So I put those two things together. And later on, in reflection, discovered that using the arts was what helped me get through a lot of tough things, and also my clients and students. The arts, it turns out, are very good medicine.
Yes, indeed. So, Miss Sheila, thank you so much for sharing your talents, your knowledge to the world. So, let's talk about your book today that's called The Art of Grieving. So, how do you define the art of grieving differently from traditional approach to grief?
Well, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but if we're looking at the Western world or parts of the world that are so affected by the Western world, um, we have sort of been discouraged from even bringing up the topic. Like, just get over it, you know? And when I was trying, the book before this book was a book on grief that was a memoir, and Warrior Mother was the name of it, and it won an award, and it was very well received. Except there were a lot of people that were afraid of the topic, like, let's not talk about that. So so that's where this book came from, because I began to see, how did grieving get such a bad reputation for some people, and because it turns out that all it is, grieving is a way that we are processing what happens to us. We're all in such busy worlds. We don't, we do this, we do that, and then we don't even have time to remember what we did yesterday. And so when we go through very important losses, and it can be a person that you love, but it could also be a job that you have spent so many years preparing for, or it can be a flood that takes out your home. Or, I mean, the thing is, Daniel, we can be guaranteed that we're going to have losses if you're going to be around any time at all. Even young children have losses. So I got the idea that maybe we should be good at processing them. And that was the notion that I came up with, that really the arts are wonderful ways, medicine, to process what happens to us.
Yeah, yes, indeed. We need to process gracefully with grieving. Why is it creativity is such a powerful tool for processing loss?
Well, it turns out that the arts change our brain. So just after, well, about a month before my book came out, there was another book that came out that was called um, Your Brain on Art, and How the Arts Transform Us. And initially, Daniel, I was so worried. Oh dear, somebody's brought out my book. I've taken too long. And now, because good ideas are in the ether and we grab them, right? But it wasn't that. John Hopkins University has done all this research on what is it that happens when we're involved in art or art making. So they could, with the new technologies, you don't have to have brain surgery, they have imagery. So if I'm doodling, they can see what's happening in my brain. If I'm singing, They can see what's happening in my brain. So this without even, having the science. You're kind of down, you're low energy, you go to the gym, but you're not even finding the energy for it. And then you have a playlist. You're playing, and you're playing, I think, uplifting music, right? You're
Yes.
not playing real slow, draggy music. You're playing up, and because we are very much affected by the rhythms, by the drum beat. We This is happening in our bodies and in our brains.
Totally agree with you, Miss Sheila. And let's talk the healing power of art. What scientific or psychological research supports art making as a grief therapy tool?
Well, there's so starting to be so many. There's a whole new field called neuro arts, and it's the neurological, outcome of when we do certain things. So, um, I think we know this a little bit in relation to children, where they will make a drawing. And in our country, we put them on the refrigerator, no matter how artistic they really are. We don't care because the grandmas, anyway, put them on the
Yes,
refrigerator, right?
for sure.
But the process of doing it is really something to maybe rebalance our brains, maybe pull us up into a little bit. That's why I say the arts help us live our best lives, because in using the arts, we get access to, well, I think, to who we really are, to who we really are. So I like to say sometimes there's a part of us that's smarter than we are.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, we're so used to figuring everything out in our heads, like everything's a math problem, right? But
Yes.
it's really not. And grief is not a problem to be solved. And you're not going to be able to figure your way out of it. The notion of being able to, you know, accept things, to get to a place of acceptance. I also, Daniel, use a different image than other people. Most of what I learned, even when I was in school about grief, it was sort of like climbing the stairs. And so now, you're in a bad mood about this, and maybe you're angry, and maybe you're depressed, but you go up these steps. And then when you get to the top, you just dust your hands off and you say, okay, well, I'm done. Except nobody is, and that isn't the way it works. So the image that I have is the image of a spiral, the image of a spiral. So actually, it turns out the way that energy moves in our brains and in many other larger things, even in the stars, is a spiral. And what that means is that, all right, an event happens. It happens at Christmas, and so the next time that Christmas comes around, or next time I even am in a store and I hear that music, it's going to take me back to that period of my life or those incidents. And I might have some sorrow about it, or I could have some of those angry or whatever. There's so many different feelings I could have, but I don't have to hold on to them. I can recognize, oh, well, that's the way it is. But now I'm a year older. Maybe I'm a little more mature. Maybe I have come a little ways here. And so I can look at it a little bit differently. And then through the years, anniversaries become a very important time that we can honor and get to the place where, instead of feeling just the sorrow or the feeling of resentment that you got ripped off somehow, that you lost this, whatever it was, you can start to appreciate that you had it in the first place. You can begin to say, wait a minute, that isn't guaranteed to me. And I had that for that time. And even in my brain, I can go back to that time. I can go back. I remember. So our memories also help us to move forward by going back to move forward.
Indeed. So, Miss Sheila, let's talk about the practical applications. How can someone with no artistic experience begin using art to process grief?
Well, first of all, I like to tell people it's fine if you don't have, you know, some special skill, because here's what happens, Daniel. Sometimes if you have a lot of, what is a technique, you can hide behind your technique, you know? And
Hmm.
so it isn't that every opera singer, whenever she sings, then she, gets a lot of awareness. Maybe not. But so the arts you don't know that much about, they may gift you even more, because the gift is in getting back to the child who makes the drawing. Then you look at the drawing, and the drawing has some information for you. I mean, psychologists use this. They have the kid draw, and and then they figure out, and they ask the child some questions about the drawing, and where is the dad, and who is that person, and so they have a way again of processing their feelings without having any fancy vocabulary. It's just the image that they create. So that's really, I think, how it works. That when you explore, and I think I want to say another thing that is pretty interesting. We This is not something we have to do by ourselves. So you can even have people do something on your behalf. So if you and I are watching, let's say, dancers, and these dancers can jump higher than you and I would ever be able to, and they and but but the way it works is that the way that my body is and the way your body is that we have mirror neurons, and we see that athlete or that dancer jump, and some part of us goes with them. Some part of us goes with them. So we can dance, or we can do art on behalf of someone, or we can allow them. You can see a film, and you see this character goes through all these difficult times, and we're watching that, and we're going through it with them, and hopefully they're taking us eventually to a good place, right?
Yes,
Hopefully, if that's the case. So we've vicariously experienced it. Vicariously.
definitely. Totally agree with you, Miss Sheila, and very well said. Beautifully, beautifully articulated. Let's talk about the cultural and societal perspectives. Why do modern societies often struggle to make space for creative grief expression?
Well, of course, that's a very important and mysterious question. I mean, I could say at one hand, a lot of companies give you 2 days off
Yes,
to go to the funeral.
2 days off.
So that's maybe not quite enough time. So I think our focus in Western culture is so much on productivity and getting things done and making money and none, all of those kind of things, that is a driving force. And in some ways we don't move the speed of our own bodies. We don't really get the wisdom of our own bodies because of staying so busy and so driven. So I think it applies to grieving, but it applies to a lot of other things too that we don't fully appreciate because we haven't taken the time to appreciate it. So the struggles in modern culture and our screens, of course, and screens are
Yes.
good. I'm glad to be on this screen with you, but I, in some ways, much rather be with you in person, and be in what I call the real life situation.
Yes. Totally, totally true, Miss Sheila. And let's talk about the reader engagement. What's the first step you recommend for readers wanting to try this approach?
Well, it helps first of all to read. You're interested in books, and that's the reason I have been writing books. I hope there are people that are still willing to read books, but to see, because we are such a word cultures, all of our cultures now are so, the words are important, but sometimes the most important things in our lives we don't have words for, or it's hard to find the words. So it's helped me a lot to be able to read other people's writings. And by the way, that's one of the tools you can use to even figure out what you think about anything. When you're going through something, if you write about it, maybe nobody else reads it, but if you the process of writing it and the process of reflecting can be a part of this grief cycle that I'm talking about, this spiral, to step back and see it. The other thing, I practice a system called interplay, and in this case, we encourage people to tell stories to one another, and so to listen. That's always good. So we talk and we listen, and we just play with those things that are up for us in our lives. Some little things and some big things. One of the things that we discover is how very similar we are. We may not look similar. We may be in different countries. We may not. We may be different ages. One of the discoveries for me, my granddaughter, who at the time was 9 or 10 years old when I was writing this book, and she taught me a lot about grief, and that was a surprise because I didn't think of her as knowing. But one of the stories in the book that is my favorite, and many other people's favorite, is she was when I got online with her, she was making a bracelet for her friend, and she was putting the beads together and spelling out hamster because her friend's hamster had died the day before, and she was going to give this to her as a gift. So she showed me how she did it, and then she showed me the note that she wrote to her friend, and the note said, "I can be with you whenever you think of me. Signed, the hamster." I was so surprised. I didn't expect the note to be signed by the hamster. But my granddaughter was talking about one of the most profound things about grief, the notion that when you're in this tough time, you can be, if somebody is sending you love, and that's what that was, the bracelets was a message. I love you. I care about you. When that happens, you're not alone, and you're lifted and you're held.
Interesting and amazing. Miss Sheila, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I'm mostly trying to, I think, ease some of the suffering that I feel like people that I know, and people that um, I've seen through the years, and clients and students, the suffering that doesn't have to be there. There needs to be sorrow, yes, there needs to be grief, but it doesn't have to stick there. It doesn't have to be the end of the story. It's the beginning of the story. It's really the beginning of learning more about yourself and what you really care about. See, one of the gifts of grief is that you learn what really matters. We get all in a tizzy about stuff. We get all upset or anxious. But does this really matter? Take a little longer view, maybe it doesn't. So you get really committed to what really matters. And so your life is better because you appreciate.
Yes, people appreciate everything you had. Count your blessings. Stop complaining.
Mhm.
And thank you. Good luck to your goals, Miss Sheila. And what will be your advice for those people out there? One, to write their own book.
Well, I recently, Daniel, I've been saying to people, well, maybe you could write a booklet. Think about doing something a little smaller than a book.
Yes.
Books are a lot, a lot of pages, and actually people um, are not so into reading big books, but sometimes another way to get the information across, other ways to express yourself. So sometimes it could be just a blog that you write and you share that with people, or it could be just putting together what do you know about something and making it so that that's been one of the things I've advised people to do. Not that they can't eventually put that all together into something bigger, but doing something smaller sometimes is part of my suggestions. I know that I would think myself. I wish I had not taken such a big leap. Sometimes it takes a lot of years to put together a book. And so that would be one of the things. Yeah. And as it relates to grief, I want to say, you ask about my goals. I think I want to really be available to coach people. I think of it like a coaching thing. You're going through this tough time. And I want to teach people to be coaches to one another, so that this can spread this notion of mutual support.
Well, thank you for your advice. And again, good luck to your goals, Miss Sheila. Before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry second season, and of course, my book 101 review in fifth season, comedy 101 in second season, food 101 in its fifth season too, geography 101 and love letters in third season, mental health 101 is my baby podcast, movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, science 101 and sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Miss Sheila, where should people look to find community in artistic grieving after reading your book?
Well, I just want to say how to get a hold of me, which is that my name, SheilakKCollins at yahoo.com is, or I'm sorry, at gmail.com is my email. And also, I have my writing is now on Substack, so people can find that. And also, my website is also my name, SheilakKollins.com. And there's quite a number of videos and different kinds of resources on that site.
Yes, indeed, Miss Sheila K. Collins. Thank you so much for giving the art of grieving to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books? Miss Sheila, where they can find your books aside from the art of grieving?
Oh, yes. Well, I I have a book that's called Still Point, and that's a self care playbook for caregivers to find ease and time to breathe and reclaim joy. This book is now a course online. So, and it's for people who are taking care of other people and trying to take care of themselves at the same time. And then I have another book that is Warrior Mother: Fierce Love, Unbearable Loss, and the Rituals That Heal. All of these books are available on at Amazon and Barnes and Noble and wherever it is that you get your books. And the audio book is going to be coming out pretty soon. So it's not quite out
Yes.
yet.
Yes, indeed. And speaking my audiobooks, I want to promote my audiobooks, people, because it's been a long time I did not promote it. Please do listen to my one of my audiobooks, people. Book 101 Review Volume 3, yes, suggestions. Book 101 Review Volume 2 selected. Book 101 review, highly recommended. These are available on Audible. And of course, my self help book, Life is Too Short. Threads of Existence, Stand Tall, Stand Together, Breaking the Chains of Bullying, and one of the best sellers on Audible. Please do check in and listen to them. So, Miss Sheila, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciated speaking with you today.
More to come, people. See you soon.